Good evening. Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me? Testing 1, 2, 3.
Oh, hello, I can hear you.
Very good. How goes it? How you doing?
Okay, how about you?
Good. Yep.
Finally made it to one of these meetings.
I know.
I was checking my email and make sure it wasn't in person. Still Zoom.
Yeah, I think we'll see how it goes. I mean, truthfully, I'm personally not comfortable yet meeting in person, but you know, I think the town's looking to do that at some point here. There's some groups that are, but I just have a couple health situations that I just got to be very careful about.
I don't care one way or the other. I just want to make sure I'm in the right place, the right time.
Right, got it. Well, Happy New Year, by the way, Gwen. Happy New Year.
Why? Because you haven't seen me this year?
Right. Right.
All right.
Okay.
I know.
You got
I
it squared
can't
away.
believe how long it's been since I've been to one of these meetings.
And I still see your Christmas decorations. Is there Christmas in the back? You got something hanging up there? What is that?
Yeah, just no, because if the lights were on, then it'd be Christmas. No, they're just still there. Too busy. I work 6 days a week. I don't have time to take down stuff.
Wow. You got to stop and smell the roses here.
I did. I was home with the kids all those years, taking them to smell the roses.
Yeah. I know Maureen will not be joining us. She had a late cancellation here, so.
Oh, that's too bad.
I see Dick is with us, so.
This is my 139th Zoom.
Oh my goodness.
I'm in a lot of committees and I work 6 days a week. And then my day off yesterday, we had a book meeting, a science book meeting outside. It was really nice.
Wow.
Joshua's Trust.
Yeah, I've got too many myself. I'm trying to cut back. Start trimming back on some of my meetings.
Well, it saves driving to Norwich from East Windsor. I mean, it saves gas. It saves the environment.
Yeah, I think gas could be $6 a gallon by the end of the summer. So paid $4.69 today.
I don't look at it. I don't like to know.
It's I think what I'm concerned about is the fuel oil, heating fuel oil.
That's why we got the heat pumps. The heat pumps are like wonderful because when we got our first one, let's see, about 12 to 14 years ago, and $5,000 for one floor. And in 2 years, it paid for itself. Okay, because the electricity is 50% less for air conditioning, and then it saved, we didn't have to use any oil.
But unfortunately, it looks like electricity is going up to, it's going to be 15 cents a kilowatt hour here. It's crazy.
What can you do?
Good evening, Margaret. Good evening, Dick. Good evening, Gwen. I guess we got enough for a quorum. We can start. Hooray.
I was kept on saying something to you and I realized I hadn't plugged in my microphone.
Sounds of silence.
Yeah.
So I want to call the meeting officially to order. The one thing I put approval of minutes, there were none, but there actually were. I don't know if I can legally, I don't know if we can actually put the minutes from our last meeting on the agenda. I don't know if we can do that.
No, I don't think you can.
Yeah, so I'll have to wait till the next time.
Well, no, the last meeting we had didn't have a quorum.
Yes, it did.
Did it?
Yeah, we had one on April 26th in which Bill Folletti came.
Oh, that one. Okay.
Yeah, the last meeting we didn't have one.
Yeah, the one in May, there was no quorum.
Right.
Although we talked a lot. Has anyone reached out to Shante and indicated that it'd be a good idea for her to attend these?
I haven't. I told Mike that I would reach out to her for EDC, so I need to do that.
Yeah, and in fairness to her, I mean, I think if she was on one of these calls, it technically could be considered billable hours. I mean, I would, if I'm a consultant, you know, I think, but I mean, I think just get her going on EDC will be a good jump start, and then she can kind of migrate over to these other activities, I think. But so you're going to catch up with her anyhow, Margaret, right?
Yes. Yep. I had a crazy week at work last week, but I'm hoping to have a little extra time to reach out to her during the weekday. So.
Okay. And then just Gwen, for your edification, Economic Development Commission, we had a young lady, but she ran for finance board, so who was helping us with our kind of work on the web page and some of our kind of highlighting businesses throughout town. So we ended up hiring Shantae Fields, she's the president of the PTO for the Ashford School. Very active. She has her own business. She has a bakery in town, and very active. And a younger lady, I think that adds a new perspective that we can all benefit from about things that can shape the views of the younger generation here in Ashford. So I think that we're kind of excited to have her on board and start some work for EDC, but obviously should cross-pollinate with our town, our future, and other things as well, but trying to get her going at this point.
Yeah, and my comment about her showing up is that she needs to come up to speed with, who's doing what to whom. And we can treat that as billable, but it's at least, show her face and, because if she's not going to be doing that, I'm hard pressed to say that we can be doing much with her.
Yeah, I mean, she wasn't invited. That her, there's nothing. She didn't know about this meeting, so I think certainly the EDC meeting she should come. So make sure we add it to that invite list, Dick.
Yeah, I'm 90% sure. Well, no, I haven't sent out the agenda yet.
Right.
But when I send the agenda out, I will
You'll
definitely.
be 90% sure that you're.
I will be 95% sure at that point.
Okay. Anybody else have any other communications or announcements? Okay. The old business leadership roundtable. I think I forwarded to everyone this afternoon. Probably sorry a little bit late, because I think something we had looked at a couple of years ago with the agenda we'd used for our last leadership roundtable. And I forwarded that right after our last meeting in April to Bill Folletti. And I did catch up with Bill here recently, and we kind of decided that I think we're going to probably put off the leadership roundtable until like September, maybe, just because he's up to his eyeballs. I mean, I think you heard that Cheryl Baker left the employee of the town, so I guess they don't have much staff to begin with, so everybody's kind of pulling a little bit of double duty there. So
yeah, I had heard that Cheryl leaving was not like new news. It
Right.
was known a month or two ago, which begs the question, why wasn't something being done? And the other tidbit that's going on is our tax collector may also be leaving. So, I mean, these are key positions in the town government that to not be on top of them is not good.
Well, I mean, we don't know what's going on, Dick, but I mean, these
I'm
are
just relaying.
challenging times for any employer, in particular municipalities. I know that.
Yeah, I'm simply relaying inside information that I would say is, what was I 90% sure of, or what percentage was I?
Well, the timing is unfortunate, obviously, with the year-end books, I'm sure, puts an extra burden on whoever's doing that now till the end of the year, as well as, the tax bills and, all of that. So.
Yeah. July 1st is a crazy time for municipal governments here in Connecticut.
Yep.
Well, and that begs to the point that we were going to try to get committed some of the funds, and we're mixing EDC with our town, our future, but it's going to be kind of hard to do that without a treasurer there.
I'm
Although I
sorry to
guess-
hear this news. I didn't know anything about it.
Although Cheryl does have an assistant, Laura what's her last name? Eckhart or something like that. She's
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
wo-
Well,
I
it's
think
just,
we should assume that we could still,
right,
make that happen. So,
right. So it's just proceeded accordingly. And, but like I said, I talked with Bill and, again, because there's everything going on, and it's kind of, I got some things on my plate right now, so I'm not sure. They're kind of out of my control. So I just have to, take it day by day here. And, so I think it was gonna be a hard push to get something done by the end of the month anyhow.
yep.
So this will give us some time to do it the right way and, go out there and really beat the bushes to get people involved to get to it and commit to it. And we can formulate a better strategy of how we'd like that evening to unfold and make sure it's worthwhile to everybody attending, whatever. So I think that's probably a good thing.
Mike,
Yeah.
I would add two things to your agenda that you had for the leadership roundtable. And I would put like what the goal of having this meeting is.
Yeah.
And I think the goal is, if we think back to the most successful meeting we had with Our Town, Our Future, is we had a pretty good turnout. We didn't call it leadership roundtable at the time, but we just invited everyone from all the commissions and boards, plus as many people from the town as possible. And we identified, I think, 4, 5, 6 possible projects, and we actually staffed 2 or 3 of them. And I would say that should be the overall goal of what we try to accomplish with this meeting, because that's the only way we're going to get the Our Town, Our Future activity kickstarted here.
Right. I mean, that was meant to, that draft was meant to kind of what we did before and kind of get people's input. So it's certainly a work in progress at best. So yeah, those are, I think we definitely need to establish a solid, goal and objective that's going to make people want to come to the meeting in the first place and be part of it and contribute. So, and the other thing too is we got to probably, I would say, the plan of conservation development remains on that kind of discussion point. Because I think that's going to be something that's we've worked off of and it's done. I think it's been a success as far as what this group and other groups have used to kind of accomplish quite a bit here in Ashford. So, so I think any other input we have over the next couple of meetings, we'll get that squared away with picking some dates and kind of start putting our list of invitees together and make sure we can make it a real good, well thought out event.
Yeah, and my point, to be more formal about it, Mike, is I would include a numbered item in terms of your agenda, which would be the goal of the meeting.
Yep, got it.
So all that stuff's right up front. The other thing, if we're going to tie this to the POCD, and I know we've not been terribly successful in bringing planning and zoning into this, but I think we need to make this a agenda item on one of the upcoming planning and zoning meetings, so they know that we're planning this and that they've got to be a integral part of it.
Right.
Well, I was going to suggest that we really should kind of get on any board and commission that meets this summer. I don't know how many there even are, right? But, if there's a meeting happening of any committee or commission of the community, we should, try to be there in person to invite them to participate in this and what it is we're trying to accomplish. So
yeah, Margaret, I concur with that, but I mentioned planning and zoning.
Well, they're key.
Yeah, because from a statutory viewpoint,
Yeah.
they're the ones that are charged with updating the POCD. So and we've had less than stellar response from them. I think, Mike, you've written, I don't know how many different letters to Jeff.
Nothing lately. So
No, a year ago.
Well,
a few years ago.
but going back to what Richard said, with the breakout group where people got to choose, which, we identified as a group, right? What were the areas that people wanted to see some attention paid to, or felt like we had good momentum, and we came up with that short list. And then soon thereafter, right, we had another session where people got into the group that they were most interested in and kind of hashed out some details. So I don't think you can do the second meeting until we come up with a current list of what are the projects. And I'm looking at Mike's agenda, and it really seems to me that it's there to sort of get people to speak out about what's the latest and greatest, what's on people's minds, right? You know, the 3 most important things you want to see happen in Ashford, right? I mean, that's where that stuff kind of bubbles up.
Margie, can I mention a new area of interest? I'm not sure if this was on the list. There's been so much time, this pandemic. I kind of forgot what the lists were, but I'm on the Conservation Commission, and this topic was brought up, and I think that I'm supposed to mention it here. If I'm pronouncing it right, Cattle Rock.
Yep.
That parcel should be of interest to many committees in this town, and to all the citizens, what to do with it, and if it could be multi-use, and many different suggestions were touched upon in Conservation Commission, but it was definitely a topic that needs to be discussed by our town of future about, and many other commissions. Like maybe part of it's affordable housing, maybe part of it is going to hiking trails and nature center. I mean, all kinds of things were brought up, and the size of the parcel, and that it's not the problems that we originally thought were insurmountable seem to be much, they seem to be not a problem anymore. That it was toxic, this or that. It seems like that was not, it's not an issue. The testing showed that that's not a problem. So maybe this is an area for future attention.
Yep.
Yeah. Whether it actually comes to be, we'll find out. But various iterations of the Board of Selectmen have indicated that they would like to see the EDC take the lead in terms of marketing Cattle Rock and finding a way that it becomes a productive item on the tax rolls of the town. That doesn't say we can't have some of it set aside for other uses, but I think the first and foremost interest, at least it's been from the EDC's viewpoint, is that this be turned into a tax generating item for the town.
That was discussed as solar power on the open areas and renting out, and there were a number of different items.
Yeah.
And it's a big enough property, you could do a number of things on it.
Right.
Multi-use.
Yeah, so that's its own nut. I mean,
Right.
the whole Cattle Rock thing will certainly bubble up at our town, our future. And that is definitely going to be a focus of how does the community, if the town, owns it, and when we actually own it and can do something with it.
We own it.
But, but Christine, when I talked to Christine, she was like, yeah, but we still have to do this and do this and do this. We're a
Right.
long way from, so I guess
That's
it
not really
depends who
true.
you talk to, so.
Yeah, we basically took ownership about 2 months ago. And
Really?
Therefore, this was voted upon within the Board of Selectmen. It then comes to the point with coming up with someone to take and spearhead the marketing of the property. And as I said, that role, since it's economic development, was promised to EDC. Whether or not that is followed through on, we'll find out. We've had a very tortuous history with this, and we need to find a way that, it's, hundreds of acres. A lot of the acreage is not suitable for, development, is wetlands and the like. Contrary to Christine's, there is a small amount, very little of contaminated properties. It's mainly some 50-gallon drums that need to be removed, but there's no major problems in terms of groundwater contamination. It's been tested
Yeah.
repeatedly by DEEP. I'm trying to think who, I know Darcy was with me. Mike, were you with me at that meeting when we went to meet with Deep on this subject?
No,
But the guy that was the lead person who's since retired at Deep basically said, they've done groundwater testing every year for years and years. There's absolutely no real problem environmentally with the property. If there is any environmental issues, it's mainly on the Wellington side of the property, not on the Ashford side. So, it's
yeah, I think, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of details there, but I think the point, Phil Folletti has indicated that he certainly wants to have EDC involved. He wants to make sure the community has its input into it as well. And so I think it all dovetails very nicely into what our role in this could be. And, so I think it's all positive things you've talked about, Gwen and Margaret, are all things that are on the table and are I think will be part of the future discussions. Certainly, like Dick says, there's parts of it that can serve potentially some tax revenue to the town in a way that the community is accepting and embraces. I think that's important. So yeah, so I think that's something that can, as Margaret says, actually could be a big project unto itself. But I think maybe something will be down the road here too. So I think keep that thought in mind, and it could be something that we continue to work either in parallel with this next coming meeting, or it's something that gathers some form of input as well. So
The citizens are really excited about, I mean, it isn't something that they don't care about. They want to be there and
right,
have their say
It's
on it.
it's understood. Yes,
Yep,
Margaret.
and I think that it's going to be interesting to see, whether it becomes a public hearing that
Yeah.
the Board of Selectmen run, whether it becomes a public hearing they expect EDC to run, or it becomes a more casual conversation initially that falls out of our town, our future. Because I think that there's real implications about, who's driving the bus on that piece of property, and, what the will of the people versus, what makes sense for the town. And I just, I don't want, EDC to run down a path and then get, tarred and feathered because we're doing something that the selectmen asked us to do. The selectmen, if that's the direction, they need to be really upfront with people about it and really carefully approach this public input piece. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that they're the ones that are driving the bus. It's just a matter of who they want to help guide that conversation.
Is if I use the parallel with the property going into Ashford to Park,
More property.
Mike Zambo decided on his own to have a public hearing. There was absolutely no legal reason to have a public hearing to hear the proposal that the town of Ashford sell that property to the developers of the Best Buy. But he decided to hold it. And when you talk about being tarred and feathered, yours truly was tarred and feathered at that meeting, where everyone thought that it was a chance to vote on whether they wanted to sell it or not. And they voted not to sell it. And then what turned around after that is Best Buy decided they wanted a location there, and they bought the old ice cream place there, and they built the store anyhow. And the town lost out on the potential revenue from selling that. If Folletti and company will listen to me, I will make my will as known as I can, that there is no reason to have a public hearing on the wagon shed Cattle Rock facility. It's not something that is open for vote by the public to determine how it's used. Finding a way that we can get people to put their 2 cents worth forward other than a public hearing, I think is good. But the connotation of a public hearing held on a town-wide basis gives the impression that the town can vote on what they want to be done.
Well-
And That's
Well,
not,
people say something about the dollar store. There were people who didn't want the dollar store, and then they had no say because it was private land, and this is public land. So people do have that right to, and even to say, well, half of it should be developed this way, and then we should have something more in keeping, the solar and the trails, and maybe affordable housing, because we really have a need in this area.
well,
Well, I think we're not going to solve that tonight. It's really,
Yeah.
yeah, Glenn,
but
in all
I think-
due
I think we
respect,
give input, and I think
but
that's.
my 2 cents of input is wait to open up your mail and get your new tax bill. This town sorely needs to increase the taxable property base for the town. Whether or not we see a big increase this year or not, but the town needs to find ways to increase that. Does not preclude doing other things, but the first and foremost use of that, if there's any breath that I have, either from this committee or the EDC, is to see that that goes forward as a way to generate tax revenue.
Right, so and then Dick and the other members, I mean, one of the things we talked at one of our informal EDC meetings a while back in this group too, is to come up with ideas on how to help the Board of Selectmen through that process and give them some ideas what alternatives they have for that process. But certainly, public input is critical. It's what the community is founded on, and I know that sometimes the vocal minority can speak more loudly than the vocal majority that aren't speaking up, I should say. But I think we still have to provide some guidance or offer some alternatives on how to proceed in that process. But I agree, there's got to be a balance. It can't be one side or the other. There's got to be a balance, something in it for everybody. Because if there's something in it for everybody, then I think it has a chance to be a very, very successful project and actually get done. So
Yeah,
I think that's what I think what we have to do through this group in EDC will be to provide some recommendations. I think we sent some stuff out, Dick, too, as you remember a couple months ago already, about some potential paths for moving forward on those process. So I think
Right.
that's
And if I'm sounding pretty irritable on this, it's because I am.
I've
Okay.
been at it a long time, so I understand.
Yeah, I mean, this thing, I've got files that's probably 3 inches thick on this property. I've got all the stuff that I've sent at least a dozen times to various parties of the research that Darcy did. I have the meeting where the previous first selectman accused the EDC of seditious behavior, putting the town at fiscal
Oh, we
risk.
don't need to rehash all that.
No,
tonight.
I'm just telling you, there's some history that goes back there. But as far as the
Ray Penn.
representation,
Okay.
the representation for making the decision what the town does comes on in November, when you elect the Board of Selectmen. We don't have a pure democracy in this town. And people shouldn't think that. I mean, the Board of Selectmen are elected to make decisions. And if they can't make the decisions, we should elect new Board of Selectmen,
Well,
my opinion.
we're not here to decide that.
I
kind
know,
of thing.
but I mean, but anyhow, okay.
And by the way, I just for the record, set the record. Ray Fenn's file is, I think, 5 inches
Wow.
by a couple inches.
Well, this is a good topic then. You guys are so knowledgeable. Can you tell me how many acres it is again?
Like 100 and
No. It's like 300, isn't it?
Well, we don't
Doesn't
own all of
develop.
it. Some of it belongs to Willington.
I see.
I would have to dig out my thing, but it's in the hundreds, more like 300 than 100.
That's what I think too, yeah. I'm trying to find it. in
And
my notes.
there is about 25% in Wellington and the rest in Ashford.
Okay, here it is, 343 acres,
there you go.
but I don't know
Okay,
how
so
much is
we'll
ours.
save the discussion, save all these good ideas, write them down, and I think there'll be a time and place, obviously, for all this. So moving on, and any project, I have an update on. I don't know if anybody else has seen this, but the Ashford Arts Council recently, someone sent out a little bit of a blurb, and if I could just read from it here. My dog will leave me alone. that they said they're trying to present a plan to become their own 501(c) nonprofit organization, but to be able to see this through, they'll need everybody's help. They said that they don't have the participation, that they'd like more active participation, and that that doesn't bode well for the Ashford Arts Council. So, you know, I don't know if that's something that's been put out there to other people at this point, relative
Mike,
to.
at one point in time, they were able to piggyback on the Wyndham, I'm not sure the right name for it.
I think they still are.
Right.
And,
They
and
still
they
are.
got and they were a 501(c)(3) as a result of piggybacking on that.
Right.
Well, I mean, I just think this was sent out this past week, and I kind of went, whoa, what's that about? I mean, I thought they were doing very well. They seem to have a lot of active programs out there. You know, so I don't know. I just thought since we've been
It's not
involved.
a big thing to actually file for the 501(c)(3). John Redenmeyer spearheaded the effort for not the exact same designation, but a similar designation for the ABA. And he worked with an attorney, and I don't think it cost more than, you know, in the hundreds of dollars for, you know, the attorney fees and to do the filings. So, you know, we ought to find out who's trying to lead this charge in the Arts Council and link him up with John.
Well, I'll forward the email to you. I'm not an active member. I'm a paid member of the Arts Council, but they did, so I was on their mailing list. So I'll forward it to everybody.
They're one of the more active groups in town. I mean,
Right.
You know, and Margaret, it was the thing that you hosted at your facility, was that through them or was that through a different group?
That's coming up in July. So I am hosting, Westford Hill is hosting the Ashford Arts Council, like an on plein air and art fair. And they have a really impressive number of artists that have signed up to exhibit and sell their products. And then additional people that will just be out painting or doing photography. So, so that, you know, and that I had offered to do something for them last year around my daylily season. I like to try to do garden related topics. So we're doing a pollinator pathway event in June with the pollinator pathway group and the garden club. And then the Ashford Arts Council is coming out in July. So, but it's, you know, they're gung ho and, you know, we're all promoting it.
There's another one that's going on June 11th or thereabouts.
Yeah, that's an independent thing. I think that's something this kind of loose knit group in Ashford and Mansfield in the area started doing around Connecticut Open House Day. So the Art and Garden tour that's this Saturday is separate from the Arts Council.
Yeah, I get a lot of the notice on that from Deb Gagg. And
Yep.
Okay, so I'll forward that email to all of you. Any other comments? Any other things going on in past projects?
Well, at present, Mike, there are no real active projects, correct?
No, I mean, the only thing I'd say is still out there, and I'm disappointed to say haven't gotten any feedback on it, was the kind of what's going on with the traffic issues, safety issues on the 44-74 corridor. And I know that Bill Folletti was trying to work with the state and our state representative on some of that stuff, but I don't think he was getting too far. And I sent some information on, because we had a series of accidents right at that intersection, like over a course, like 2-week period. I think there's like 3 accidents. And so I kept on sending information, requesting some further input from DOT, but I never heard back. So,
Yeah, Mike, echoing the last time we met with the Board of Selectmen on this subject, and the leadership of Board of Selectmen at that point in time flatly told us that we were not to intercede with the Department of Transportation that the Board of Selectmen would take the lead on this. Owing to the fact nothing has happened for the past year or two, if there's something that, since you're having, communications with Bill Folletti, if we simply ask Bill Folletti to delegate this to you slash our town, our future, or EDC, or whoever, all that work on the RSA was done, and it's can pretty much set, off on the side for a year or two or longer. It simply requires someone to take the lead and do something.
Well, just for point of verification or edification here is that the DOT really will only speak to the local traffic authority, who is in fact the first selectman. So I've just been reaching out, and that now it's rather unsuccessfully to some contacts I had during my professional days, my working days, and I let Bill and the previous first selectman know that I was doing that, and try to help direct them to the other people as well. So Bill was aware of it. I mean, just when you have your state representative trying to set up some meetings, do things, and it's not happening, I don't know where you go from there.
Well, going forward, come November, we're going to have a different representative. And we're being peeled off and put into, and I can't think of what the right name for the district is, but the fellow that is highly likely to win that election is the football coach and teacher from Pomfret. And he's a Democrat and very active. Unfortunately, that his attention is going to be spread, from more towns than what was previously with Tammy. So, and we're going to have the same issue in terms of who ends up being the senator, because there's good. Dan Champagne has decided not to run. So all of the state representatives that we have presently are going to be different people, come November. So it's rather doubtful that the anyone in state government's going to do much of anything over the summer.
Well, we'll keep on plugging away. I'll when I connect again with Bill, I'll have the conversation, see where he's at on it. And I mean, the other thing, if we have any more accidents up there, what I'm going to probably end up posting on the community board and on our future is the link for complaints or requests for services on the DOT's website. I've used that a few times myself personally on things I've seen, and that gets attended to. So maybe if they get 50 people from Ashford that are concerned about safety on 44 and 74, then maybe somebody will bump it up a notch somewhere along the line. But
that could be a great campaign strategy coming out of our leadership meeting, right? If we really want to get the squeaky wheel going, that would be an easy way to get citizens involved in talking about that.
Yeah, there is no doubt that everyone is concerned about that. I just started in last week with my outpatient physical therapy in stores. So I'm going to be driving past there 2 to 3 times a week. And already it's almost like 50% of the time you see an almost near accident every time you go through that intersection.
I have to go through there all the time on my way to work, and I am so careful. I wait till there's no cars anywhere in sight before I pull out.
Yeah, I mean, and people, everyone says, oh, it's the people, that's speeding. We went out to the post office, and I was coming out of the post office onto 74, and we looked both ways, and there was no cars, anywhere near us whatsoever. And there's, Gloria saw this one car way off in the distance. We pulled onto 74, and then all of a sudden, this car comes out of nowhere and we're doing about 70, 80 miles an hour and passes us.
Well, anyhow, we're not going to solve speeding problems tonight either. Perhaps. Wish we could. Go ahead, Margaret.
So another project that Bill brought up that I think would be interesting to bring before the group is the conversation about the trails around the senior center and the senior housing, and that trail that, that it connects to the Joshua's Trust Trail and all there along the river. Because it seems like if we own that property and there's some trail work that's been done there, that, in the interest of recreation, pushing ahead and really making some headway on busting that out, especially, if it does go up toward St. Philip's and in that direction. That I think is a project.
We've made a lot of progress. We're almost done. Tremco
Okay.
Trail. We just get a kiosk, and we have to word it so, moderate trail, so that some of the seniors don't think it's going to be real easy, because it's it's steep in places.
So and I think that kind of goes along with the whole, and we'll get into this again with our big group of marketing our trail systems better. As it's partly where EDC overlaps with, recreation, but that whole thing of how many wonderful trails, we have in town, and marketing them accordingly. So
That should be at our visitor center, where they hand out the little pamphlets. I don't know whatever happened to that. The whole thing
Well,
with the
Well,
historic.
that's another issue. So
if you'd like to get involved in something that you'll never get uninvolved in, just volunteer to spearhead the project on the Tremco house.
We're not going there.
yeah, I don't think we want to go down that conversation tonight. So.
I missed an important meeting, so I don't know what happened.
Okay, so any other, so we've talked about a bunch of things for potential initiatives, so it's good. New recruitment members, I know, Margaret, you had a couple of gentlemen join the last time. Are they interested in proceeding? I didn't have their.
Yeah, I think they are. I dropped the ball this time, and this just really wasn't on my radar. I had a crazy couple of weeks, so
Yeah.
I didn't reach out to them soon enough, but I think we just need to maybe get them on our, on the email list.
Yeah, if you could forward their emails, I'll add them.
Add Pavlicek and Dave Prue, because I
Right.
think both of them are interested. And we had that conversation last time about, again, in the recreation thing about, the concept of the Frisbee golf,
Right.
if you're looking to, make the pickleball people happy, that there's maybe if there's a dog park in the offing, maybe just this whole world of recreational opportunities could be a great conversation in one of these Our Town, Our Futures, and kind of throw those all in. So
Yeah, Margaret, I would strongly urge to try to involve those two fellows, because they both brought a perspective that us older folk
yeah, totally.
don't bring to the party.
Yep.
And
No,
and
they do. Yep.
and we don't need to get 15 new members, but we need to have, I would say for this core group, it would be good to have 6 or 8 people.
Yep.
A good cross section of the community too. I think it's important. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
and-
I've got some more people to think about inviting. So, and again, I'm kind of looking at the demographic being folks who are younger,
Right.
Yeah,
trying to bring some.
Yeah, and I apologize if I've come on strong to you guys this evening. Been an interesting,
Passionate, we call it.
passionate, but I think to make sure that we differentiate between what Our Town, Our Future is doing and EDC is attempting to do. The Our Town, Our Future is an outreach group seeking input and ideas and from a large cross section of the town. It's not, the core group is not necessarily the group that does things, but it simply identifies issues that should be addressed, and they aren't necessarily all economic development. They could be communications. They could be like was done a while back, painting the old A1 filling station, so it wasn't an eyesore. There's a whole lot of things like that. Pickleball, ball, and frisbee golf and things like that are, and definitely not economic development, but they are things that could improve the quality of life for Ashford. So I think if we, look at the mission statement for our town, our future, it's those kinds of things, and bringing together large groups of people, both commissions and boards, but also just the average person, resident of the town.
Yes,
and
Dick, one of the things you mentioned, the communication, I wanted to ask the updates on that because we had talked about that, I don't know, over a year ago, about the email blast list that people could get on if they wanted to find out about emergencies and what to do if this or that. And I heard that progress was going to be made on it, and then the election came and things changed. I don't know what happened.
I
It's
think
in the
they were-
Ashford Citizen.
Yeah, I think they were promoting the ability to sign up for those alerts through the Citizen, yeah.
Right. And
Oh, great.
we talked about it at our last, the 26th meeting. It's called Text My Government, Text My Gov. It was in the Ashford Citizen, the past.
Which citizen, which month? I'll look it up.
It's been in the last couple, it's in this
Yeah,
last one too.
And
Okay.
if you go on to the town website, assuming it's still up, there is links on there, and there's like probably a dozen and a half or more different topics that you can select. If you select those topics, you automatically receive a text or an email that alerts you of things that's going on. And this was the thing that everyone was talking about. I think
Yeah.
Mike brought it up as a thing that South Windsor was doing.
Right.
And it's been implemented in Ashford, but I think it has been horribly under promoted.
I've been asking for this for years, and I didn't know about this because I'm on for Willington, Mansfield, Stafford, Tolland. I get them from all the other towns. This is what you do to get emergency water if the power's out this many days, whatever. And we never had that
We have
here.
it.
So,
We have it. It's there. It was on the front page of the Citizen for June.
all right, I'm gonna look it up. I've been working
Yeah.
6 days a week. I didn't know.
Yeah, but I think the key thing is, as a project for our town, our future, is find a way that this information gets out to everyone in the town. Because as Gwen, you pointed out, you're looking for it, but you haven't found it.
I've been
We'll
mentioning
post
for
it on.
years, and I didn't know. We didn't get an email saying, now you have this option. Click here if you want to sign up for this.
No, you have to opt in. This is not something that automatically everybody's like. Some towns, they put everybody in it, and you have to opt out. I think what
Mhm.
Ashford's done is you have to opt in, so it's a little bit different. So, any other input? I mean, one other thing on communication, Gwen, at the meeting we had last time, the two young gentlemen, Dave and Ed, actually had ideas too, and we talked about maybe having like a community board. We've talked about that many times, and I did a little research because I know the town of South Windsor actually put one in. They spent a lot of money on it, but there's actually it's done fairly inexpensively. And I did talk with Bill about that. I said maybe that's something that if they have allocated all the money from this COVID federal COVID money, that they could probably spend $15,000-$20,000 and put up a scrolling electronic board that they could put all kind of messaging out there in front of the town hall, whatever. So he said he was going to kind of look into that. But again, there could be some progress made right there. Because they were soliciting ideas to how to spend that money, more to selectmen work, that is. So any other thoughts, input, ideas, questions, comments, concerns anybody has that we haven't touched on yet? I mean,
So are we thinking that we want to try to pick a date and
Yes.
promote it in the July and August Citizen? Or do we just want to promote it in the August Citizen for our town, our future?
well, I think we have to pick a date and get that agenda squared away. So, I mean, we'd have to get into July, we'd have to have something done in like 2 weeks, right? is the
The-
19th.
Yeah,
The,
the
uh,
21st
the-
and 20th. Yep.
The citizen is not lacking for input. I would suggest that we promote the idea that this is going to happen with various articles of information in the citizen and do it multiple times leading up to the date when it's going to happen. Everyone says that they love the citizen and everything. One of the things that I was talking on planning and zoning and on the subject of affordable housing. And you may have noticed in the most current issue of the Citizen, it was on the front page. It was kind of buried in the back part of the Citizen the month before. That announcement of a survey for affordable housing in the month before,
Mhm.
a grand total of 10 people responded to that. And of those 10, at least, well, one was me and, and two or three other people I know. I ran it past my wife and I asked her to look at it and see if she could respond to it. And she says, no, I've got more important things to do. So, getting people, even if you put it in front of them to respond it doesn't seem to be that easy to do.
No.
Well,
Don't
of course
you have
not.
to have a smartphone, a certain kind of phone to pick up the scan to get to
Well,
it?
if you've got any sort of a smartphone with a camera on it, and if you simply put the camera over that little, I don't know what you call it, but it's a thing that reads
Jameson
it.
will show you.
No, the thing is, my old phone doesn't have that capability. And I have a new phone that would, but I haven't moved to that yet, where it's not all phones will do that. I have had smartphones, but they will not read those scan things.
We looked into putting the entire questionnaire in the
Mhm.
Citizen. It would have
Yeah.
taken 5 pages. So
Yeah.
that was too much.
Mm.
But
Yeah,
the,
people are either motivated to respond or they're not, and again, we can promote it on our own on our own Facebook page, right? And just put the link on the Our Town, Our Future page and post
That would
that
be great.
sometimes.
Then I would have done it. I couldn't get with my old phone.
And then
wouldn't
we
do
could
it.
share, somebody who's on the other Ashford neighbors stuff could share it to that. I mean, I think, the Citizens a jumping off point, but you got to use all of those. And it's not unique to us, I mean,
oh,
we
and-
just,
and-
we
and-
just sent a mailer to everybody in Mansfield asking them about their attitudes about, what we should be doing about cannabis regulations, and we got 120 people that responded. I mean, it's just the nature of surveys. It's
Right.
just, it is what it is. So,
it's
So-
like the vote on the town budget.
yeah.
But I
So,
think
Margaret,
the
to
link
your
on
point-
Facebook would make it easier to access that survey for me.
Right.
So Margaret, to your point, I think our next meeting, what we should be working towards is to flesh out an agenda of what we want that meeting to be before we promote it, and then looking at the calendar for, I'm assuming September. And I don't know if that's bad because of school, what time, if maybe we pick middle of September or when there's no other meetings, look for a date where we could hold this meeting, and then so that we could be ready to get it in the Citizens for August and September. That would be my suggestion.
Yeah, and
Is it in the evening? An
if you're
evening
going to hold
meeting?
it in September,
Mhm.
put something in every Citizen as soon as we can.
Right.
Something to the effect, do you care about what's happening in your town? We care about what you want the town to be. If you really wanted to participate or whatever, save this date, because more to come. There will be a meeting where you can come and express your feelings on things that are of your interest for the town. And you put something that's, headline kind of stuff like that out there. And it doesn't have to be the agenda and all that sort of stuff. Just get people excited that they want to do it.
Well, I guess my point is with the agenda, there's two different paths one can take here. This first meeting of what I call the leadership roundtable would actually be invited guests from all the major, boards and commissions and civic groups and things like that. I mean, I guess you could have ad hoc citizens too, but I think if you're going to, that would be more to frame, sort of things you want to take to another meeting, a stakeholder meeting, to get more input on. So, I mean, we have to, I guess, really decide what kind of meeting we want to have first. I guess
Well,
that's my question.
my 2 cents worth, and we said it, quite a few minutes ago. If anything we can do to replicate what we did several years ago,
Okay.
it would be the thing to do. And the first meeting we had, we just got as many people out there as possible. And we filled up, I'm willing to bet there must have been, 60 plus or more people at that
yeah.
first meeting.
Yep.
Okay. So you're talking about a stakeholders meeting that we had. The last meeting we had was actually, I would call a leadership roundtable, because I'm the one that sent out the invites, and basically we sent it out to all the lake associations, the Boy
Yeah.
Scouts, all the, so the churches. So we kind of selected and the people, and we invited kind of, people.
Well, we asked them to each send a representative.
Right.
Yeah,
Whereas
but-
the first meeting we had is Our Common Future is an open meeting to the whole community.
Yeah.
So,
And I would say that we try to replicate what we did 3 or 4 years ago.
okay, so that was an invited, where we invited people. to
No,
it.
that was where we said, anyone that wants to come, comes.
No, anybody could, but like I said, the one we had back in 2019 in the below the town hall there, that was invited. It was basically all the civic organizations, churches, businesses, and of course the public was invited too. But mostly it was like the Salvation Army, and we had the post
Well,
office show up.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one that we held in the big conference room in the town hall.
That's the one you want to read. That. Okay.
No, that's the one that had all the representatives. And I remember even the post office showed up.
Right.
Okay, but the one we want to replicate is the one where people that came out of the woodwork that wouldn't even know were interested, came to Knowlton Hall.
Okay. No one else. Okay.
And we publicized it to the boards and commissions too. But I mean, I remember in particular, Doug Jenny's wife
Right.
showed up, and she volunteered to help write grant proposals. And we didn't even know she existed. And there were a lot of people like that showed up at that meeting.
Okay. So the goals for our next meeting is going to be to kind of look at our calendars, and I'll check with the Board of Selectmen what dates we can pick, and I want everybody to look at that. I call it the agenda, but let's determine what we want to accomplish, the goals of the meeting, and how we want it to kind of proceed, and play out. So I think that's what we want to have for a goal and objective of our next meeting, get that done, so that come that July 19th, we could be putting in something in the Citizen to kind of begin to publicize it, and then sit up again in September, publicize it, assuming the meeting's going to be in September. And we'll get it out on the web pages and all that jazz too.
So
Yeah.
this is an in-person meeting, and it's going to be where we had it in 2019.
No, this would be probably a Knowlton Hall type meeting.
Not in Hall. Okay.
So it'd be different. It won't be the same. We'll try to invite all the people we did the last time too, but this will be more of a general, we'll call it the stakeholders type of meeting.
Yeah, I recall, matter of fact, someplace there's a picture of me and you, Mike, standing up in front, waving our arms around, and we've got a bunch
You
of
say
these-
we surrender.
yeah, and we got a bunch of those stands where you can put things where you write stuff up, and we put them all on the walls of Knowlton Hall.
I remember that I photographed you guys.
There you
and
go.
I think
that's
Ray
where the picture
Fenless
came
was
from.
In charge of one.
So
Okay. Anybody have any other thoughts on that?
no,
No, I guess it's mostly maybe pinning Bill down on a date and looking at the school calendar.
Yeah.
Because I think
Yeah.
they publish like when open houses are and all of that kind of stuff, but
When do they do that? You typically, Margaret?
usually it's the second or third week of school.
Yeah.
All right, wow.
Margaret, and since this is a recorded meeting, and Bill can listen to this, and I consider Bill a good friend, and I've known Bill for years and years. But please, let's not put Bill in the process of deciding what date we meet and things like that. We
Well,
can just
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, it's a
just tell
courtesy
him,
thing.
just tell him when we're going to do it and get his, his feedback from that.
No, I understand.
yeah,
But-
we're not going to ask him for a date. I'm just trying to include him so the Board of Selectmen are on board with us.
Yeah.
I don't
and-
want to be driving a bus that nobody else wants to get in the bus. We
Exactly.
need them in the front of the bus.
Right.
Yeah.
And
And-
we've been lucky in the past, for the most part, they've been
Yeah,
there.
and when we had that first meeting, Mike Zambo was on board with it, but I don't think he was driving when and where or anything like that. He showed right up and was right at the front of the meeting.
Right.
Yeah, well, that was good. It was good.
Right.
All
Okay.
right.
Well, thank you, everybody, for attending. I hope you enjoy this lovely weather we're having.
Yeah,
Um,
A little rain would be nice, but I've loved it.
Yeah.
I
that's
love the
for
cool.
sure. Yep.
Margaret,
Okay.
have you got anything growing besides flowers and stuff at your property?
No, vegetable garden, flowers, that's it.
No, you haven't
Yep.
yet thought of having a vineyard up there?
No, yeah, we did that. We did that when we were back in our 30s. So, no, if anything, maybe some organic rye. We're talking to the guy at Willow Valley Farm in Willington, who's been growing some organic straw and organic grains, and he's going to come plant one of our big fields. We're going to collaborate with him on that, but we don't have enough time in our lives to start another business, which is what an orchard or a vineyard is. So,
So you're still making the chocolate stuff?
yep.
I brought that out for my family. We had my first time I got my entire birth family, grandkids and all that stuff together, and we had a dinner down at Benji's. But I brought the bottle of that down there and offered drinks to everybody. They loved it.
Yeah, it's tough not to love if you like chocolate, that's for sure.
The little kids didn't sample, but all the adults did.
Good thing. Okay, everybody,
All right, thanks a lot, Mike.
keep
See you
smiling,
all.
okay? Take care.
Take
Thanks,
care.
Lynn.